now with all of these visionaries all over the world. I'm not talking about the church approved, obviously, Fatima, Lourdes, Guadalupe, etc. So the church has said it's it, it's it. I'm not talking about those ones. I'm talking about all these other ones. There's one that is wildly popular in Europe called Maria of Divine Mercy. Garbage. Absolute garbage. There was another one, what's her name, in Ireland, Patricia Gallagher. Garbage. Christina Gallagher. Not Patricia, Christina. Garbage. You read through the stuff long enough and you come across the uh-oh moment. Now, if I'm Satan, I want to confuse the minds of the faithful. And the easiest way to get to the hyper-faithful is through something dressed up as hyper-faithful. Now, here's a number of the problems with this. First of all, it causes massive division among faithful Catholics. Not dissident, crazy nuns over there who don't believe in the resurrection. I'm not talking about those people. They're not Catholic. They're baptized Catholic, and that's the end of it. I'm talking among people, Catholics, who go to Mass, go to adoration, say their rosary, say their prayers, da-da-da-da. This crowd gets sliced and diced up by these things. They commit themselves to these things. And they argue with each other. I don't know how extensive this is over here in the United States yet. I've started to see it pop up on Facebooks and Facebook postings and everything else. But whatever's going on over here in the States is nothing compared to what's going on over in Europe with this. At 2 different talks, in both of them in London, a week and a half ago, this whole scene erupted. A lady's walking around passing out messages from Maria of Divine Mercy, and you read them, and Maria of Divine Mercy says of herself that God the Father or Jesus or somebody has revealed to her that she is the 7th angel of the book of Revelation, and that Pope Francis is the false prophet of the book of Revelation. Now, we can sit over here and go, oh, that's ridiculous. The Catholic ladies distributing all of this stuff through this talk go to Mass, believe in the church, all that Catholic stuff, and they got into ferocious shouting matches with other people in these talks, all faithful Catholics. You see that, and you're like, uh-oh, I smell the sulfur. Same thing with Christina Gallagher and her nonsense. Now, not only does it cause division in the church, it also deflects good Catholics from doing what they should be doing. Tons of people, because this has that kind of Gnostic air to it. It's like almost like spiritual pornography. You want to keep flipping the pages and reading and saying, so what's the end of the world thing going to be like? Oh, I know this, but they don't. Oh, and there's all that kind of air about it. I know this and they don't. Not only is there a deep spiritual pride in something like that, not to mention the errors of what you're reading, but there's only 24 hours in a day. And if you're reading this nonsense, which is not approved by the church, it means you are not reading what is approved by the church. You're not reading Humane Vitae, because that's kind of dull and just a bit of dry. Ooh, but this over here, this is spiritual pornography. Oh, what's going to happen next? Oh, and then there's going to be fire fall from the sky, and 1/3 of the people will be... Yeah. It's so much more exciting. It so much tickles the intellect, so much more. And then some Protestant is going to walk up to you, maybe in your family, or maybe out on the street, or maybe at work, and say, blah, 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 some book, chapter, and verse. And you're going to go, oh, I don't know. But you sure can tell them an awful lot about what Maria of Divine Mercy says, right? Do yourselves a favor. Until the church infallibly declares that something is of supernatural origin from heaven, don't waste your time on it. We don't get to decide that, the laity. The clergy gets to decide that in the form of the magisterium of the church. When the magisterium puts their stamp on it, then you worry about it. Then you revel in it. Then you read about the lives of the visionaries or the founders or whatever particular thing it is. Until then, you concern yourselves with learning about the authentic faith authentically expressed. The number of Catholics that I bump into who tell me they have not read the Gospels, yet they've read Veronica Lueken from Bayside, or that crazy woman down in Conyers, Georgia, or, have run off to, Maria of Divine Mercy, or whatever they are. That's not doing something holy. That's not done out of a love of Christ. That's done out of a titillation of your own, imagination and, and your own mind and wanting to know stuff. Put down the stuff that is not approved by the church, no matter how holy it might sound, and pick up the stuff that is approved by the church. And that includes Medjugorje. It is not approved by the church. There are lots of problems with that vision, supposed vision, or 28,376 visions now, or whatever it is. It isn't approved by the church. Until you feel that you can sit down and have a conversation on all kinds of things that are pertinent in the church today, because you have read the encyclicals, because you have read the catechism, because you have immersed yourself in a deep study, deep Catholic study of Scriptures, an authentic understanding of sacred Scriptures. Until you have done all of this, you are wasting your time on these other things. They have nothing to do with the faith until the church says, this is now authentic expression of the faith. You've got 2,000 years of history. And now it's all available to you. Maybe 50 years ago it wasn't, or at least not the way it is today. How do you get your hands on all the Maria of Divine Mercy stuff? People give it to you. They stick it in pamphlets and outside of the back of in little slots in the back of church. Pick them up, read them, and go off and talk about it in coffee houses and this and that. What are you doing? The church is falling apart and you're over here in fantasy land. Get in the church. Go online. Read Humane Vitae. Read Pascendi Domini Gregis. Read these encyclicals. Pope St. Pius X wrote that encyclical. There's hundreds of things like this. Read them, not this. This is pride. This is pride. It's intellectual curiosity, spiritual pornography. I know something other people don't. This is pride. And we all know when you're proud, what happens. This is humility. I want to learn. I want to grow in love. Bury yourself in the heart of the church. If one day, something from over here, the church declares to be part of the heart of the church, good. But until that happens, put yourself here in the heart of the church. There's too much damage to the church today, and we need to be here, not here. And if I'm Satan, oh yeah. Oh, I'm having visionaries whip up every 15 minutes. Here's another one. Let's have another one. There's another one in South Africa, if I think I heard right. There's another one in Brooklyn, I think. They're all over the place. Isn't that great? And they are. Every one of them is more enticing than the last. And they're all soul-destroying. Take you away from the faith, even though they look like they have something to do with the faith. Until the church until our mother determines and announces this is the faith, just stay in the faith.